David Henderson now, civil rights attorney, former prosecutor, CNBC contributor. David, today the jury got to see the final moments of George Floyd's life leading up to that deadly encounter with police. What was the prosecution trying to accomplish by showing the jury all of that?
I think the prosecution is trying to make the jury feel what it felt to be there and witness what happened. We heard one of the best witnesses today, Mr. McMillian, who was a salt of the earth man. He's my kind of witness. He doesn't have a lot of education, but he has a high degree of what I call moral intelligence. And he really brought home for the jury what it felt like to watch George Floyd die. That was the intent of calling witnesses like him.
David, today I was watching when you told Nicole Wallace on MSNBC that the prosecution is making mistakes. What mistakes?
There are a series of mistakes, but I can summarize them by saying this. You never want to create a David and Goliath theme in a courtroom unless you're David. For example, you have a large trial team. You never have more than 2 lawyers sitting at counsel table. It looks like you're teaming up on someone who's only represented by 1 attorney. And the rule is kind of simple. If you cheat on your homework, you don't tell your teacher, right? You keep that to yourself. In addition to that, the prosecution is over-relying on the ability to paint Derek Chauvin as though he's a cowboy who wasn't following policies that were put in place by the Minneapolis Police Department.
Every day of this trial, you've said that Chauvin if he wants to beat this rap, he has to testify. Why? What could he and only he accomplish in front of this jury?
First, whenever you have an unintentional murder or a criminal charge that's brought based on an unintentional murder or killing, the defendant normally has to take the stand and say, I didn't mean to do that. That burden is increased here for a couple of reasons. One, the emotional testimony from the prosecution so far has been overwhelming. And I summarize it by saying you even had a 9-year-old child saying that this was wrong. Something has to happen to combat that callousness. Also, I think the rules have changed for Derek Chauvin. I think trying a case for police officers accused of wrongdoing before George Floyd's death is fundamentally different than how you have to approach it after George Floyd's death.
You know, watching the body cam video, the gun pointing at the vehicle, George Floyd almost crying, does that have the possibility of having one impact on one group of jurors and another on another?
Oh, absolutely. You have to remember that this material is new for a lot of these jurors, but people in the public
that was new for all of us.
Well, absolutely, it was. I'm saying you have some people in the jury who've never seen any of this footage before. But even if you take the video that went viral that most of us did see, people responded in different ways. Some people went out and they protested and they marched. Other people put Blue Lives Matter signs up on their lawn. I have a neighbor who did that. So it's reasonable to believe that the jurors will respond differently in the courtroom as well.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.